Hello everyone, this is the Excel guy with iLearnExcel.com, and in this video we're going to talk about hotkeys and some general speed tips to hopefully make you a little faster in Excel. Now, full disclosure here, I don't actually use all the hotkeys myself. I have been known to switch back and forth between the mouse and the keyboard, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're going to find that there's a lot of hotkeys out there that just don't feel natural to you, and that's okay. Don't use them. Use what feels natural to you and what works for you. Now, with that said, we're not going to go over every single hotkey out there in Excel. There are hundreds of them, but we are going to go over some of the more powerful ones and some of the more common ones that you're more likely to use than others. This spreadsheet that we're looking at in this video is called the Speed Practice Spreadsheet. It's just something I threw together for this video. You can find a copy of it on our website, www.iLearnExcel.com. I'll throw a link to this page down below the video on YouTube so you can get back to it. Or create one yourself and then play around with it. So if you have any questions or anything at the end of this video, go ahead and ask them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. Now with that said, we'll go ahead and get started with some basic navigation. I think everybody out there knows if you've opened Excel, you can kind of figure out that if you use the arrow keys, it gets you around where you need to go. However, you can combine those arrow keys with other keys to make them very, very powerful. The first that we're going to talk about is the Shift key. If you hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and you hit your directional arrow keys, it will highlight data as you go around. The one right under your Shift key, which is the Control key, if you hold that one down and hit your down arrow key, you'll see that it moved to the last cell that had data in it in that column that I was in. Same thing here, if I hold down Control and hit the right arrow key, it goes to the last cell that had data in it in that row. Now, something else is going to happen here. If I hold down that Control key and hit the right arrow key, it's going to behave a little bit different. So let's do it and I'll explain it. Control right. It went to the first cell that had data in it because it recognized that there was a data break. And Excel characterizes or defines a data break when there are no values in a cell when I'm trying to pass through it. So that Control key plus an arrow key will move you either from the beginning or to the end of that data set when you're navigating. And I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. It's just a quick way to navigate through blocks. Now, if you combine that Control and that Shift key, it will actually take both functions at the same time. So your Shift key, again, remember that's the one that highlights everything. Your Control key is what gets you from top to bottom. If I do Control Shift down, it highlighted the whole block. And so I can use that to highlight entire blocks of data very, very quickly, just like that. Trust me, if you're navigating like that and highlighting data like that and somebody's leaning over your shoulder, they will think you are incredibly fast if they don't really know how to do that themselves. So just kind of a cool little trick. You can actually combine that even more with copy and paste to quickly move data around. And this is where we're going to get into the specifics of the data that is in this spreadsheet particularly. You'll notice that field 2 is in column A, and I don't want it there. It goes in column B, and then field 1 goes in column A. So in order to make that happen, we've got to manipulate the data. Now, in the old days of the mouse, you can go over here and you can highlight this entire column, and you can cut it, put your mouse there, and you can paste it, and that works. However, you can do it much faster by using some of the hotkeys that we already mentioned, plus the hotkeys for copy or cut and paste. Now I'm going to go ahead and select that data set, and there you go, Control Shift down. I'm going to hit Control X for cut. Don't ask me why it's X for cut. I guess it's because it looks like scissors or something. I'm going to go to the right one time. Now the actual hotkey for paste is Control V, as in Victor. However, if you already have something copied or cut, you can actually just hit the Enter or Return key and it'll go ahead and paste it there. So likewise, I could do field 1, Control Shift down, Control X, left, enter. Now that might have not appeared much faster to you. I'm going to go ahead and undo. By the way, undo is Control Z as in zebra. And there you go. But I'll do it at real speed, and you can see, or real-time speed, and you can see kind of how it is faster than having to highlight this, click cut, come over here, click paste, and do the same thing here. You can just simply, and there you go. So there are other kinds of hotkeys in here that are not specific, like control or shift commands. If you're inside of a menu anywhere and you see a letter that's underlined, that means that that command can be done by pressing that letter on your keyboard. So in this example, you can see that column C doesn't have any data in it, and I don't want it there. I want to delete it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to right click on the column C header, and that popped up a menu here, and you can see that the D under delete is underlined. So what that means is I can press D and it will delete it. So Control Z, I'll show you again real time how fast that can be. Right click D. It's just that fast. Now remember in Excel that copy and paste is not just for copying data, but it's also for copying and pasting formulas. So that's where we're going to go over here to field 5, and it says create a formula to equal field 4. So what I can do here is just create a quick formula, equals, left, enter. And instead of having to do that every single time, I can just copy that down. So you can do Control C, Control Shift down, enter, and there you go. Excel intelligently increments the formula. So you can see as I scroll through it, see my value up here is changing, D8, D9, D10, so forth and so on. Just for example purposes, so I can show you another hotkey, let's pretend that I want this to all be D2, which is the number 1. What I can do in here is put in what's called absolutes. And absolute means if I put in a $sign before the D, then no matter where I copy that, it's always going to reference D, even though the number may change, and I'll show you. So notice that that still says D2. If I copy it down, D3, D4, so forth and so on. Now, if I put in another one in front of the 2, then that means make the 2 never change either. So that is called an absolute. If I do that and I copy it down, then notice it's always D2 every single time. I'm going to show you a hotkey real quick that will do the absolutes for you. So if you are coming in here and you want to put in an absolute in both in front of the D and the 2, you'll first press F2 on your keyboard. F2 means edit, and notice that kind of opens it up. I'll go left one time, and then you can press F4. The F4 key will put absolutes in front of the D and the 2 if your cursor is between them. Then I hit enter, Control C, down and paste, and then there you go. Now over here to the right, these are just some formatting things that I'm going to show you here. You don't really have to do this. I don't really bold, italicize, or underline too much in Excel, but these are actually synonymous with, you can use these same hotkeys in Outlook, you can use them in Word and Excel, so if you want to do them, they're really easy. It's the first letter of each one. So if I wanted to bold this, it would be Control B as in bold, Control I for italics, Control U for underline. Now the other one I wanted to show you that I actually do use quite a bit is just the delete key. So this is a duplicate. I want to get rid of it. I'm going to Control Shift down and just press the delete key. That will clear the data that is in the columns, but it won't clear the formatting. So just to be clear on that, if you wanted to delete all the formatting and everything, that's when you would do the actual right click and delete the actual column itself. Notice I still have an underline right up there in J1. That's because I just used the delete key on your keyboard. which is fine. Now, in the interest of time, the only two others that I really want to show you that I use quite often is Control F and Control H. Control F is find. So if I have a really, really big spreadsheet and I'm looking for a specific block of text or string of text or something like that, and I don't know where it is, I can use Control F to find it. And just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to go ahead and create hello down there in that very last row. And let's say I don't know where that is located, but I know it's in here somewhere. I can do Control F and do hello. And I can either hit enter or find next. Both work. And there you go. It drops you straight down there. So from here, the other one that I want to show you is Control H. It works just like find, but it's replace. It's actually find and replace. And that is if you want to find a specific value and then change it to another value. So in this example, I'm both going to find the word hello and I'm going to replace it with goodbye. Control H. Now, hello was already in there because I already used it in my find. If it's not there, you can just type it in and replace it with what? Goodbye. Do you want to replace just the first one, or do you want to replace everything? I'm going to replace all. We made one replacement. Now, it doesn't actually show you where it is. I know where it is, or we could use find to find it. But there you go. Another trick you could do with that is if you want to replace like all ones or nines or something like that. I'll show you how this works. Let's say I wanted to replace every value of 1 in field 2, but I didn't want to touch it anywhere else. Now, if I did that just like this and put in find 1, replace with, you know what, let's say we want to get rid of them. Replace with delete. Replace all. Notice it got rid of every single one of them, even inside my formulas. We made 71 replacements. I'm going to hit Control Z, undo, because I don't want to do that. I just want to do it in this one. So to find and replace something in a specific block of data, just highlight that block of data, run the Control H replace on it, and there you go. See, it only affected column B. So there you go, guys. I apologize about the choppiness of the video, or my voice rather. I'm kind of fighting a cold right now. But if you have any questions or anything, again, feel free to comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And again, visit our website, please. It's www.iLearnExcel.com. Thanks, guys.